trackies, I'm back. I'm back from my little mini break. I'm reset, I'm refreshed, and I'm ready to rumble. There's so many things I want to talk about, so many topics that I've already thought up, and also trending topics that I missed, right? And one trending topic that I want to discuss is Otto Bolden saying that Elaine Thompson-Herah is done as a threat, right? Now I laugh at the done part because he didn't seem to take too kindly to the headlines, that were made out of, what he said before. I wonder who wrote the headline. I need to go back and check on my channel. But anyway, that being said, track is, yeah, so that's his thought process. Elaine Thompson-Herah is done as a threat. He expounded on it, some more. He said that, hey, Elaine Thompson-Herah's accolades is an issue, right? And given where the sport is now, and this is me just, adding, more to it, right? Where, we're seeing the younger generation now taking over. We're looking at the likes of Melissa Jefferson Wooden, going away with the triple. And what was most impressive to me was that the times weren't slow. You know what I mean? Especially when you look at her 100-meter time, that 10.61 literally ranks her only behind Flojo, only behind Elaine, and only literally behind Shelley and Fraser Price. You know what I mean? And that's a 10.61 Elaine Thompson-Herah ran just, 4, years ago in 2021 at the Olympic Games to set the Olympic record. No, she ran that, 10.61 to set the championship record at the World Championships, right? So when you look at that and you look at her age, you go, interesting times ahead for the sport, female sprinting. And of course, you're looking at the younger generation behind her, or even younger, behind her, coming up from a Jamaican perspective as well. And you go, well, these youngsters ain't waiting around for anybody, right? So when you look at Elaine Thompson-Herah now being 33, right? Of course, the next championships is in 2027. That's the World Championships. The next Olympic Games is in 2028. Otto is going, okay, she's done as a medal threat. Now, she may get back to competitive sprinting, but from a medal perspective, it's not looking likely, based on, his opinion, right? And you know what, track is, honestly, you really and truly can't be mad at it. You know what I mean? We literally have to, address the elephant in the room. Sure, I love Elaine Thompson-Herah, and I want her to prove, all these people wrong, get back to top flight sprinting, get back, to where she was, and continue to, run well and dominate and win. You know what I mean? But the reality is, really, sometimes it's cruel. You know what I mean? Very, very, very cruel. And where Elaine Thompson-Herah stands right now, at least in my opinion, is not looking the best. And it's not even just about, her age and, the younger generation coming up, and does she have enough time, to still be competitive, before she's done with the sport, right? It's really just where my mind has stopped, since about 2020. 3, maybe 24-ish, right, is her accolades. That's literally where my brain has been stuck and on a standstill there. And recent, happenings going on around Elaine Thompson-Herah, it isn't making me comfortable as well. It's making me even more so concerned about, okay, what is the likelihood of Elaine Thompson-Herah's injury being managed the way it should be managed, so that she can actually compete? You know what I mean? I keep thinking about things that, Stephen Francis said, where he doesn't believe that there is anybody in Jamaica that will be able to manage Elaine Thompson-Herah's injury. Of course, she was with MVP for a while. They were able to manage it to a certain degree. Of course, she spent a short little stint, with Shaniki Osborne. Things look great there, but, we don't really have a real, time frame to really watch to say if it would have been perfect. But at least it looked good. She was back to running really fast, underneath Shaniki. So, I mean, when I think about, where she stands from a coaching standpoint, I start to worry a whole lot as it relates to whether or not Elaine Thompson-Herah will be even able to sprint. You know what I mean? Because, and again, this is no dig at, Elite Performance, right? So we've got reports that, hey, she's back training with Elite Performance, right? And as I said, no dig at them, but we can't ignore, the things that we're hearing and the athletes that are moving and the reason why they're moving. Elite Performance seemingly is having an issue managing a ton of athletes with their injuries, right? And, most recently and notably, we've heard of Karika Hill, switching to MVP. And she's another athlete that went pro, pretty much. I think she even had another year in class two. And then, clearly she didn't even do class one, in high school, just went pro, pretty much. And since then, injury and injury and injury and injury, hasn't been really able to show us what I believe she truly has. And I did a video some time ago talking about the athletes that I believe can break that 12-second barrier, right, in the women's 100-meter hurdles. And I, put Karika Hill in it, but clearly years of injuries and she's now moved on, right? So when you think about stories like that and hearing that these athletes are consistently being injured and they have to now move on to someplace else because clearly the injury is not being managed. Shelly, I think at the world championships, and she didn't really say expressly that it was because of Elite, but she said this is the first time that she's been healthy in 2 years, right? First time that she's been healthy in 2 years. No, those things stick out at me, right? They're like red flags, going off in my head. You know what I mean? And again, no, when I start to think about Elaine Thompson-Herah and her, injury history, I go, okay, is Elite Performance the right place for Elaine? From a coaching perspective, Ronaldo Walcott is great. He's done things that I thought were impossible with a Shelley and Fraser Price. When I think about it, go back, as I said, these videos are there. I talk about me thinking that Shelley, had hit a wall in terms of where she would progress. 10.7 I thought was the wall. I never thought she would get any faster than that. But you know what? Ronaldo Walcott took her to 10.60 seconds, and it wasn't just her running fast, but just her technique was just overall better. I was like, oh wow. You know what I mean? So from that perspective, Ronaldo Walcott is a fantastic coach, right? And could potentially even bring, Elaine Thompson-Herah into realms. And I think I even did a video talking about that, realms unheard of, world record territory when we talk about the women's 100 meters and 200 meters. And I know people look down on Elaine with that 200, you know what I mean? And 200. But the reality is that if he's not able to manage the injuries and or at least have a structure around him where they can manage the injuries from these athletes, right? Then all this is a moot point. All this is a moot point because we're not even going to get there. We're not even going to get to the point where these athletes can run super fast because they're always injured. You know what I mean? So I think that's my worry right now when it comes to Elaine Thompson-Herah. Not her age, you know what I mean? Not the time left to the championships, not the young athletes that have come up now and are not waiting around and are, chopping down all these giant trees, but really and truly where she's coaching, where she's being coached, and if they can actually manage her injury. That is literally all I'm thinking about right now, and I think that that's what her focus should be. You know what I mean? Now, something else that I'm thinking about as well is an interview that Noah Lyles did. Now, this is something that we discuss on the channel a lot as well. When you talk about athletes investing in themselves, you have to spend money, in my opinion, to make more money, right? So you can't just, be making all this money as a professional athlete and not reinvesting in the areas that is going to keep your body whole so that you can continue making more of your body, right? And Noah Lyles, after the World Championships, I believe maybe it was after the 200, he did an interview and he talked about or was just crediting his team, his doctors. Those doctors are the reason he was able to come out here and compete as effectively and as strong as he was able to. Of course, he walked away with bronze in the 100 and gold in the 200, and of course a gold in the 4x100 meters as well. But again, he credits his team and he pays a lot of money for those doctors around him. But guess what, track is? It is working. So guess what? He's spending all that money, but he's able to get it back because guess what? They are able to keep him healthy so that he can go out on the track and run. And guess what? He keeps checking off those boxes on his contracts, and Adidas just has to keep paying him out, paying those dollars to him or any other sponsorship that he has. They just have to keep paying him that money because he keeps, checking off those boxes at global championships. And that is what our athletes, I believe, need to start doing. So thinking about what, Noah Lyles has done and thinking about all the struggles and that Elaine Thompson-Herah herself has faced, in the sport because of her accolades. At this particular point, I'm actually hoping that she has invested, into a team of doctors, that will be there to personally assist her every single time before training, after training, every step of the way. Because even Noah pointed out, listen, I have to fly these doctors out with me. If it's first class, he has to fly them out. He flies them out. You know what I mean? So they're there with him every step of the way. Right now, again, this is not something that can be afforded by everybody. Right? No, clearly Elaine Thompson-Herah, the athlete that she is and where she has been able to get to, in my opinion, should be able to afford it, should be able to afford to ensure that she has a team around her to keep her healthy, right? And I think that's the only way, that she's going to get to go forward, in the sport, in the, few years that she may have left, right? And be competitive and hopefully, in my opinion, get back onto the medal podium, right? But yeah, Chakis, those are my thoughts. So Otto says she's done, as a medal threat. I haven't even gotten there. My mind is still stuck on, her injury. Is it being managed properly? What has she done to ensure that she remains as healthy as she can? The investment that she's made in herself, from a coaching perspective, how is that going? Those are the things that I'm thinking about, because without those things going right, then we can forget Elaine Thompson-Herah touching the track, as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, let's see, going forward, how things go for Elaine Thompson-Herah. With that said, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like the video, of course, and subscribe to the channel. I catch you all in the next one. Bye.